Hello friends, welcome to VFX Pipeline channel, and in this talk we are going to talk with some Blender experts or Blender users where we want to figure it out like how we can use Blender in productions. There are many questions in my mind which I'm going to ask with these users. What is the capacity of Blender at this time to replace some of the existing softwares like Maya, Houdini and all this? I know that these are the big softwares, but let's just find out like what are the key features of blenders that is actually compatible with same kind of work that we can do, and also we'll try to figure it out like how these guys learn blender and why they pick blender over other softwares. There's so much thing that we are going to cover in this talk, so let's start with the introduction of our panelist here. We have Devanshu. Hi Devanshu.
Hi.
Okay, and we have wait, the one more person joined. We have Bharadwaj here. Hi Bharadwaj. Okay, we have Sai Charan.
Hey,
Looks like we have two more people joining. Avanish is joining. Admit. So Anvesh is joining. Okay, he's joining now. Hey Anvesh, hello. Okay, so let's just start with the starting journey of your how you come to Blender. I mean, let me start with very small journey of mine, and then I will come back to you. So basically, I first encountered Blender in 2009, where I just see that Blender is a very good tool people are using for that, and that time I was very inspired from Enterprise Blender Guru. So I
yeah,
said that wow, he's actually doing a lot of thing, and that time I was learning the wait. Guys, can you just mute and once your turn come then unmute? I see there's noise coming. Yeah, okay. So I was seeing that a lot of tutorials from Enterprise Blender Guru, and I see that everything we can do, and why we are not using this in production. There was so much questions in my mind. Then I simply started that Blender. I said, oh, maybe I should start that. I started for few of my projects layers which I created in Blender. There was few destructions which I created. I mean, it's very rough, not destructions, like you can say that it's kind of a rigid body simulation. There was a package box, a package of some cartoons boxes are there, and there was some car is hitting and then there was exploding. So that was a very small scene which I was creating in Maya that time. I said, "Oh, maybe I should take it in Blender because I see the rigid body is very good in this that time." So I play around with that, and after that I created a chain. There was a scene called chain, so I play around with a lot of dynamic. I'm not going too technical in that, but I found it's very good. When I go to the rendering part, it was very heavy in renderings, that I admit that. And I play around few of the other things, for example modeling. So modeling I found is very good that time, and that was my very small journey. I play around maybe like 3-4 months on Blender. It's like a hype come in my mind like I have to use Blender, but you know what, we are working in production, and when something is completely out of production you can just play around, do some R&D, but for a long run, if that is actually in your production, then it is something very useful for you. I mean, it's a kind of a link is break in between, because I get so much production work from my studio, and I was just completely stop my R&D on that. Then after maybe 8-9 years back, then I come and see that 2.8 is completely changed my view for Blender. I say that 2.8 is really good. The interface is now something which is, it comes in the professional category. So then I came, I say that okay, maybe now it's time to jump again, but these days I'm completely in the technical side, making tools, making pipelines. I said okay, maybe I can develop some tools. So I find out like what is the best way to develop tools, and I found like most of the pipeline tools are already written in PySide 2. And PySide 2 is something which is, if you have Maya, if you have Houdini, if you have Nuke, Netron, whatever software you have, the Python and PySide based tools are already written. So it will be good idea to actually port those tools inside Blender and make the functionality work same as it is. So I just did a few R&Ds, make some tools for my studio in Malaysia. I found like maybe I should grow this community because I found there is no tutorials available. There is nothing, no documentation also available like how you can create PySide tutorial. So now these days, if you go and search Blender and PySide, you will find my tutorials and my GitHub code. So I would say that I'm the first one who created that as per what I know, because when I was searching there was no content available for how to create PySide tool inside Blender, but now there are tools, there are tutorials. You can find tutorials in VFX Pipeline channel, links you can find in the description of this video. So this is my journey, and now I'm planning to make Blender inside a full-fledged production pipeline where we can just produce a feature film output, where we can produce a TV series output, or advertisement output. And you know what, the other softwares are really expensive these days. We need to do cost cutting, and lay off people is not a good idea. Why don't we lay off the softwares which is actually taking a lot of money, and keep the artists with us and use those software which can produce the good output. And for artists also, if you guys can take this very seriously, if you can just commit this to your management and your boss that you are going to produce a output from an open source software which will save a lot of their license fees, that might save your job. And that's a kind of a strategy for future. Let's just jump to one of our panelists. Let's just start with Sai Charan. Sai, just tell us about your journey, how you come in Blender field.
So, I am Charan. I am a mechanical engineer in Amrita University, Bangalore. And I started Blender like 11.5 months ago. Maybe in this June, it'll become my first year in Blender journey. Before that, I used to do all the 3D modeling softwares like SolidWorks, AutoCAD, Inventor Fusion, also Fusion 360. I was a mechanical engineer. It was in my curriculum by any chance. So I was like, Bharadwaj, Bharadwaj, he's in the live stream as well. He used to do Blender. Like our mutual friend Yugam started Blender first in our whole college, to be honest, like for the name. And Bharadwaj and they both are classmates. So from Yugam, Bharadwaj started. And why we both are mechanical engineers. So like we have this. He's from different section though. So we used to communicate like in a very limited manner. But when we actually, like, I used to post all my things in my Instagram and he used to reply to that. And then I was like, okay, why don't we start a page for whatever we do? Like,
Right.
we are not the best, but let's give it a shot. Like whenever I do some rendering and I post it in my story, people used to like, why don't we start a page? Like
Right.
they used to motivate us. So I was like, okay, let me do that. And somewhere in June 12th, last 2019, I started the page. And the first one was a fidget spinner which I made using some tutorial online.
One thing is interesting here, like you are an engineer, right? You, as you say that you are doing engineering and you are doing Blender. I mean, why Blender? I mean, hits your work.
Exactly, I'm coming to the point. I'll come to the point in the like it's a continuation. Like I started, like I modeled all those things in SolidWorks and Fusion 360. Like I'm completely into robotics, so I used to do all the robotic designs, like robotic
right.
arms.
Uh-huh.
And so there are a few robotic designs in my Instagram page as well. Like they're very old. Like I followed some tutorials online. Took me like 14-15 hours to make all this stuff. So I was not a professional at all. Like not even a pro. Like not even an intermediate stage. Because everything I had to do step by step. But still, it gave me a little bit of satisfaction whenever I do that. So, just a minute.
Okay.
This is better now.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is better.
Is it audible now?
Yeah, this is good.
Yeah. So then Bharadwaj was posting his stuff using Blender. So it's like he's doing better than me. Like I was so jealous in the very starting. I have to be honest. Like whatever I produce using the 3D CAD software, which is not at all related to 3D modeling. So and he used to do like very good stuff, like the donut. I never knew like he started with the donut tutorial. I
Okay.
think he'll tell his journey. So but that's the first thing which he posted is like, how come it looks so realistic? So I was like, why can't I do that? And then I gave it a shot. Like I didn't start with the donut tutorial because I'm so lazy to go through all the 9-10 videos over there. Like it's 2.79 version of like the tutorial. It's not like 2.8 version. So we
Right.
started with 2.79. So I
Okay.
downloaded Blender 2.79, and then that's how I started with a low poly scene. Like, I just made some, what do we call that? A stag. Like, I'm a Potterhead. Like, that's why all my Instagram, anywhere you can see, it's Nimbus 2000, like
Right, right.
everywhere. So
Uh-huh.
I modeled that, and I named the stag as Expecto Patronum. So, like, Harry Potter
Uh-huh.
reference, and it got really good thing. It's
Uh-huh.
very low poly. I look back and I was like, did I make this really? And I'm so proud of it. And slowly, I like, it's a audioless thing. I had to go like step by step wherever the cursor goes. I have to stop like every 5 seconds, and I have to do it.
No, so you
And
you you learn Blender. So you had some plan to actually go, and in future you want to do some job or you
no, I
want to
had no
create
idea.
something.
No,
That
I was
just
completed
for
robotics.
so
Yeah,
so that's for your just for your fun. You are
fun.
actually
It was
doing.
for fun. Yeah.
Okay, that's actually interesting. Let's just go to Bharadwaj and get some more information about this. Bharadwaj, can you unmute?
Yeah, hi.
Yeah.
So yeah, as he mentioned, I'm like the both of us are studying mechanical engineering at Amrita University, Bangalore, and we were introduced. Like I was introduced to this by my friend Yuga, and he just started it casually. And he showed me this software, and he just like he gave me his laptop, and he let me play around with the software. Like he told me these basic functions like scaling, extrusion, moving. He told me all those basic functions, and he just like play around with the software. So I did, and I kind of found it interesting and fun. And I downloaded it on my laptop and found those tutorials, the basic donut tutorial, which generally every Blender user starts with.
Yeah.
And I finished that, and I was at that time very satisfied with my work. Now, when I look back at it, definitely not, because as I've gained more knowledge. So I've been using Blender for 2 years, but the initial year was like on and off. I wasn't completely into it. But then, as I found out what I can do with it and where it's used and things like that, I got more interested in it. And in general, I'm very interested in art. Like, it's one of my hobbies. Like, I sketch. So, when I found out that I could put my ideas in a 3D area, like in a 3D space, I thought of the possibilities that I could encounter. Like, what I could create and things like that. And then I started doing more research and found out that you can use it for like so many things: architectural visualization, VFX, animation, things like that. And also being a gamer, I am really interested in character design. So that's one thing I am learning right now with Blender.
So where you learn? How you learn Blender?
I don't necessarily follow a tutorial. I try to figure out my own way to do something, and I like finding shortcuts. So I try to find shortcuts on how to make something. And if it doesn't work out, then I go to a tutorial. Or if I find something which I really want to make and I don't know how to do it, then I follow a tutorial.
Okay.
So that's kind of how I use Blender.
Right, right. That's interesting. Let's just move to Anvesh. Hi, Anvesh.
Yeah. Hi, Rajiv.
Yeah. So tell us about your Blender journey. How you started Blender. Where you come to this Blender part.
Okay. Yeah. So I am Anvesh. I am a product designer, and I do 3D art as a hobby. Can I share my screen?
Yeah, you can.
So, okay. Host disabled screen sharing.
Oh wait. Huh? Try now.
Yeah. Now I can. Yeah.
Okay.
Wait a minute. Yeah. So I used to do like fan art and all different kinds of arts when DeviantArt was a thing, like in 2008 and 2009. So
So.
like I started doing 3D artworks using 3ds Max because at that time Blender was not that famous. Like even if
Right.
you go to a Google search result site, you won't find Blender. And when you find Blender, like the interface was so bad that time, like you would try to stay away from it. So I did a lot of 3D artwork in 3ds Max at that time. So like for example, like really bad ones, like in 2009. I
So
did
this
it.
is your Blender work or what?
No, so this I did in 3ds Max.
Oh,
So
3ds Max. Okay.
like how I transitioned from 3ds Max to Blender.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah?
So I used to do all these kinds of like really basic artwork. Like let's say I have a concept, I wanted to show it in a 3D format.
What is this website? Deviant Art.
It's a community for artists.
It's like similar to ArtStation.
Yeah, so this was the father of ArtStation. Like this,
Father of ArtStation. Okay,
and
that's
it's one of the
interesting.
oldest.
I never used this. Okay, but I saw many ArtStation people are using for, and Behance. They are using Behance also,
This
right?
is older than Behance.
Okay, Deviant Art. Good, good. Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Good to know that.
So I was really active over there. Like the community was really thriving at that point of time. Like, every artist was supporting one another at that time. There were contests and everything. So anyway, so I used to do these kind of small 3D artworks in 3ds Max. So the reason I chose Max at that time was like I told you, Blender was not that famous, and we didn't have an option that time. So fast forward to 2013.
So what do you do, beta? Just what do you do? I mean, previously we had Charan and Bharadwaj. They are actually student of mechanical engineer or engineering. They are doing some engineering stuff. What do you do actually?
Yeah, so I did my bachelor's and master's in biotechnology.
Oh wow, biotechnology. I mean, we completely. This is completely new thing for me. I'm really enjoying this session with the people who are actually did not come from a direct art field, but they are suddenly showing some creative work, which actually not even very rare to see in the creative part. I mean, that's really impressive. Really good. Yeah, continue.
So I joined and I didn't know about design at that time. Like in 2006, right? I joined the college and I didn't have the awareness of there's something called design. So art is a common thing at that time. Like people used to learn fine arts and all. There used to be certifications and stuff. But design was not that. Not people were not aware of that. So at
Right.
that time, I used to know. Okay, fine. We used to do college posters and all. There social and cultural festivals. Yeah. So
But
yes,
I'm just wondering if you want to do some stills with these kind of stuff, why don't you use Photoshop for that? Why you pick 3ds Max?
so like things like this, right? So it's really difficult to try to get the it's it's really difficult to get the shadows and all in your software like Photoshop. And at that time, like it was Photoshop CS1, so it didn't have the 3D capabilities at that time.
Okay.
And yeah,
Photoshop CS1, that means is 2008, 2009, something
yeah.
like that, right? Okay.
So and then wait a second.
So yeah, I'm excited to see your Blender stuff. Where is your Blender?
Yeah,
Oh,
so
ArtStation also.
so coming to Blender, like I finished my design education and everything, and I wanted to, do art again. So at that time, there were a lot of fan
Oh,
art.
I can see the donut here.
Right? Yeah, so there were a lot of fan arts, and I wanted to do fan art for MCU, Iron Man and stuff. And that's the reason I wanted to learn Blender in the first place.
Hmm.
So I wanted to learn a 3D software in the first place, and then I was searching like which software should I pick. So given I studied in a design institute, at that time I got to learn about there's something called ethics in design. You're not supposed to pirate softwares and all this stuff. Like
Oh,
you have to
okay.
buy it and all.
Mm-hmm.
So that time I was looking which is more cost efficient.
Uh-huh.
And Blender at that time was really good. Like it was 2.78.
Hmm.
So, and it was similar to 3ds Max that I had used like some 10 years back.
Right.
So I didn't have much problem with it. So I started doing character design. Right. So when I started doing character design, like I procrastinated a lot. Like it was really difficult to jump into character design right away.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to go on and on and on. And then eventually I learned something called Reddit. People used to upload donuts on the Reddit platform, Reddit Blender. So I thought, why not? I should start with a donut. So this is what I did.
Okay. Interesting stuff, huh? Good. So far, right now, what you are doing with Blender?
So
Are
right
you
now,
using this in your job or you are just a hobbyist?
So I am just a hobbyist in Blender. Like I want to implement 3D characters into web app. So given that I'm a product designer, that's where I try to involve 3D artwork.
Wow, actually, that's a really good talk with a hobbyist. Let's just go move to Devanshu. Hey, Devanshu.
Hi.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my journey is also quite similar to all these other guys. I
Yeah.
also started in college only, like working on cultural festivals and all that. Same as these guys, I was also in, technically, I'm still in college doing engineering. So, like, I had a friend in first year in college. We used to work on these videos and posters together. He used to use Blender, and like before college, I had a little bit of experience with 3ds Max. But like I never really got into it. Like it was on and off. I tried SketchUp and Max just to get into the field of 3D because I was always into the visual art side of things. And then in college, I started with After Effects and obviously natural transition was like going to the Cinema 4D because they are two, like they go together very well. But then this guy was already into Blender, so he introduced me to Blender, and then I got really into it. So like till second year, I was doing like Blender and Cinema 4D side by side because both of them are like really good softwares, and I got to hang up with both of them very well. But then like I switched to Blender because the sheer amount of content out there to learn in Blender was so good that I could just like type a keyword and find good tutorials on it, so I could really get into it. So I got very good grasp of Blender. So right now what I'm doing is I do freelance projects with advertisement or game companies who need models or like stuff like that because I have experience with Unity and a little bit of Unreal. So like that comes in handy. So mostly Blender is for like for me it's for product visualization and game stuff.
Right.
I can show some of my work that I do for personal also, but do you mind?
Yeah. Show me. Show us. We want to see that stuff.
Yeah, let's see. Can you see?
Yes. So it's ArtStation, right?
Yeah, so like generally I share my stuff on like Instagram. So you can see I did this 36 days of type challenge, but with this year I wanted to focus on learning Houdini. So this is all like done in Houdini, but like I only have the apprentice license, so I rendered everything in Blender, but like the mesh is made in Houdini. And before this, everything is like Blender. All these characters and stuff I did was also in Blender.
I have one weird question here. I mean, I see there is like DeviantArt, ArtStation, Instagram, maybe personal blog. Is there any like should a artist needs to publish their work to every platform, or any one platform is enough? Or is it like what is the strategies actually here? I mean, this is something which is not related to this topic, but if you can quickly give us, because you just showed your ArtStation and then you say that you are actually also publishing more on Instagram, and I see many artists they actually have the Pinterest page also, so they are actually put their stuff there. Which platform is good if an artist they want to publish, or it's just personal choice, it doesn't matter at all?
I mean, all the platforms like they all have specific like specializations. So like Instagram I use because it's super casual and I can just talk to people that I follow. Like people who follow me can reach out to me if they need help or something like that. For ArtStation, it's just like a portfolio page for me to just show off stuff. In Instagram, sometimes I share work in progress things and all that also. Like I personally don't use Pinterest, but like I have some private boards. That's just for me. That's just for creating mood boards and all that.
Okay.
I don't know about the others. Like you can pitch in if you want.
Yeah. Okay. So show us some of your Blender work.
All this is Blender. Things
it's
you're
all
seeing.
Blender.
Yeah, like I did a sculpt January thing because I wanted to get into sculpting. So like for 31 days this year in January, I made different sculpts. So like in between, like after 6-7 days, I realized like let's pick a theme. So I started doing Pokemon. So like all these Pokemon. Let me just. I think it will be better here only.
Actually, in this ArtStation, you can actually put 3D model also. So you can actually
and Sketchfab embedded models. Yeah, I did not do Retopo, and that's why the models are super like high, like very high poly and very dense. So that's why I didn't put them.
Right.
Generally, what I do is after one of the projects is done, I just share the project files on like for people to download so that people can learn because they're not going to help me like sitting on my hard drive anywhere. And if someone picks it up and finds it and like uses it, that'll be good. So yeah, these are some of the things that I made. Like everything is done in Blender. Like I sculpted and like textured and like rendered everything from Blender. This like direct Blender stuff, and done in one day and all that.
Wow.
Like everything here also is rendered in Blender at least. Like these meshes in the types thing, they are from Houdini, but like the rendering and texturing and all that, that is Blender.
So you use Houdini also, right?
Yeah, I'm currently learning it, so like I wouldn't say I'm really good at it. I just know the basics. Like,
At what you found, like why you actually found this, like maybe I should learn Houdini also. Why? I mean, what is that thing comes in your mind? I want to know that.
oh, I saw the things that people have made with Houdini, and then I learned a little bit about the software. So like I really like the node-based thing of like system of working. Like I find it really attractive. So I thought like this is like the OG node-based thing. Let's just learn it because I just find the whole technical side of things really interesting. So it's just personal interest. But now I can use it in my personal projects also. Like if I have to do some simulation for cloth or like smoke or something like that.
So what,
Just another tool.
as per your early research and R&Ds, like since you are not going in in any institute or academic properly to learn Houdini, so definitely you did your own research in searching on internet, finding a tutorial. What you found? What is the best strength of Houdini over Blender?
Over Blender.
Yeah.
See, all sort of simulation. See, like the stuff in Blender is good if you want like for like a personal sort of project, but if you want to do like a professional sort of work for any sort of simulation, it'll be better to get a specialized software. And Houdini is like Houdini excels there. Plus, like the procedural generation of meshes and everything is procedural, right? It's really helpful in that way also.
And
Because
now,
the amount of control that you get, like the low level control of every single point that you can get in Houdini is like unparalleled to everything else. But they're working on this thing called Everything Nodes project in Blender to make Blender also more node based. But that's gonna take a while. So I thought might as well learn Houdini because I mean it'll only help me another tool in the tool belt. Like
and now the vice versa. What is actually good in Blender which actually you don't like in Houdini?
oh, like just the sheer speed of everything. Working in Blender is just so fast. Like now the Cycles render engine is also really quick, so like that also helps. But like just putting out ideas from your head directly into 3D is like I haven't seen anything as close to like Blender.
Right. Okay, that's interesting. Interesting work actually. Yeah. So what's your future plan really for Blender? Like what exactly you want to create? I mean, what where you want to take your career with Blender, or it's just like a hobby?
No, I'm planning to work with like 3D only. Right now, I don't have a fixed part. Some projects I do related to games. Some is advertisement. I'm working on some like animation sort of work also, but that's still in the works. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do in the future, but it's going to be related to 3D only.
Okay.
And Blender is
interesting.
going to be a big part of it because it's like my main tool right now.
Right. Interesting. Okay. Yeah. I mean, you mentioned that you're already going through Unreal. Also, I will come back to the Unreal and Blender point after some time. Once, let's just go to Charan. Hey, Sai.
Hey, hi.
So tell us this thing. Like, what challenges you faced when you was learning Blender?
Procrastination.
Huh?
Procrastination. I'm very bad at sticking to one single thing.
Your voice is not clear.
I mean, I'm a person who actually jumps from here to there, like from one place to another place. So it's like if I start something, it's hard for me to complete it. Like, like even when I started donut tutorial,
Lack of focus, right?
like I mean, I used to have this robotics, like that's my mainstream much. Like I'm secretary of robotics club in my college, so I used to have a lot of distractions.
Is there any possibility where we can use Blender in robotics somewhere?
Yeah, I did some freelancing projects for
I mean,
robotics
there are
company.
bipeds, there are rigs there. So in like robot, if you can control the robot from Blender rig, and
Yeah.
you can send the data directly, stream the data, biped data to the robots using
Yeah. For
whatever
example,
sensors you use.
I can give you 1,000 examples, but let me give one example for sure. Okay,
Yeah.
there is another open source software called ROS. It's Robot Operating System.
Okay.
What it does is you can create the whole bot in 3D and you can import it into ROS and you can apply all your codes over there, like like all the codes, and you can see the simulation over there. And if the code works, then it will work in real world as well. Like you can create some sort of terrain for a rover, and you can design the rover in Blender, and you can export it to ROS. So the only software, like which is more compatible with ROS, like that is the revolution going in robotics right now. ROS, it's Blender. It's very compatible with Blender.
So, is this in your robotics? Are you doing some sort of like Arduino stuff also?
Yeah, I teach Arduino.
Okay, so yeah,
Yeah,
I
in
mean
the
there are few ways. I mean, in my earlier R&Ds, I did connect Arduino with Houdini software to
Oh.
share the data. So I play around with
Like,
H204, like a supersonic sensor and
yeah.
IMU sensor. So I play around with these three sensors to stream the
So
data.
right now in my technical side, I mean, other than the art side of myself, I work on computer vision, which is like capturing motion, like detecting faces and stuff. I have seen an amazing video which is posted by Andrew Price in his newsletters. He'll be sending us newsletters every week. There is this one person who actually used computer vision to capture the data of his face and use a Vincent model from Blender demo files to actually do the live motion tracking. I mean,
I mean, there are
applying.
many softwares like that, like
Yeah,
Faceware and all these like facial tracking software.
but
Since
in
Blender
Blender,
is open,
okay.
yeah, since
Yeah,
Blender
that's
is
what.
open, the source code is available. So, is there any possibility like that? I really love to do these kind of open source project where,
Yeah.
if let's say there is a face scan face, and we will rig that according to our need, and we'll take the facial data
Motion
from
tracking.
OpenCV, and OpenCV, like your webcam or camera, will just
Yeah,
stream that
ma'am.
data,
That's
and
what.
that data
Exactly. The same day, same thing.
and
He
and
did it.
your motion, like your expressions, will be directly projected to the
Projected
model in the
model.
Blender.
Yeah. And you
So
can just turn on auto keyframes and it'll record everything.
that's interesting. I mean, do you have any
Yeah.
project like this, open source project, or is
Yeah,
there any?
like he actually gave the code as well. Like you can download it. I'll just search it and I'll send it to you. You can put it in the description as well.
Yes. I will put that
Yeah.
thing in the description. That's really
So
interesting.
yeah, so that's what actually I was thinking. So, and as you said, OpenCV, these are all related to computer vision.
Right.
Me being a mechanical engineer, I'm also a programmer in Python. I worked like for 1 full year in Python. Like I started learning Python, did lots of robotic related projects. So when I got to know that you can script in Blender, I started learning how to script in Blender. Like there is no good tutorials. Like the documentation is so weak right now. It's getting developed day by day. Like the Python API for Blender.
There is like a tutorial set for like scripting for artists. It's on
Yeah,
Blender
yeah,
Cloud. There is
Blender
extension
Cloud.
on their YouTube channel also, which is really good if you want to try that.
Like
Right.
yeah, I actually completed the whole series like a few weeks back, and like even the updates as well. And I created my own add-on which actually does very basic stuff. Like for example, I when I do a big scene like environment, I'll be modeling all the things in different files, and I'll import it, like link it or else append it. So I kept all these functions like linking and appending right in a panel beside me instead of going there. Like it's just like for my workflow, I made my add-on as well. So
Did you check the tutorials which I created for Blender and Python scripting?
no, I mean I just got to know about you after joining the thing. Because we started a YouTube channel right now. I'm working on it. Like I'm going to post another video tomorrow, day after tomorrow.
Right.
So I'll be
Okay.
checking it out soon. No problem.
Yeah, so in that was the idea actually. We had a tool, similar tool in Maya pipeline, and there was some artists who are actually supposed to work on Blender, but they said that we can't do Blender because in Maya we have a lot of awesome tools. So I asked them, okay, tell me what awesome tool you want, because modeling all this feature, like you want to extrude, you want split, you want edge loop, you want whatever you want, everything is there. What extra you have? So they
But
come with a weird idea. They say there we can control the camera, their attribute writer is so friendly and these kind of stuff. So I say, okay, give me the list of features which you like in Maya,
yeah,
and
we'll be checking
I took that those features and I replicate same UI inside Blender. So basically in Blender you will see Maya UI, Maya attribute writer. So I say, okay, this is your attribute writer. Just focus on your viewport right now and forget about what's going on in the back. So that was a camera tool basically. So
Yeah.
there you can add images, place the camera here and there. So this is something like that. So
In Maya, I
yeah.
think there is no procedural generation much, right? Like, all the textures and stuff. I don't know if it is there in Maya because I'm not a Maya user. But Blender, it's like, I'm working on procedural generation a lot. So all the tutorials which I'm going to post soon are about the mathematics behind procedural generation of
Right.
textures, like, So I don't think so. It's the node-based system is that great in Maya as much as in Blender.
No, the Maya is actually, I think it's reached to a level where it's keep buggy. I mean, it's like it's not stable anymore. I don't see like from the one of the most stable version which I used to work, and I personally know that was 2015. Maya 2015 is the one which is actually really good software, very good stable software. After that, they keep adding versions like 19.2. 2020 don't know, like 2017. I mean, all these things weirds that they are not good. 2015 is the good one. Let's just move to Bharadwaj. Bharadwaj, is there any plan for you to Blender for anything crazy creating in the coming days?
Right now I'm trying to create. I had a kind of an idea in my mind for this animation,
Uh,
so I'm gonna try to create it like a sort of like a samurai fighting scene, you could say.
right.
I'm not focusing on the characters, on the assets. I'm focusing more on the animation for this project which I had in mind.
How about the animation? I mean, is that a good tool for animators? What is the entry barrier in Blender? Can you guys explain like what is the entry barrier for other software guys to come in Blender? Why they are not using that? It's good. It's having all this awesome tools and all good thing, but I don't know why people are not using. Anvesh, can you just put some light on this topic? I mean, why people are actually afraid to use Blender? What is the entry barrier?
See, there can be multiple problems, but multiple possible problems. Like one, people are already used to a software where there is a particular muscle memory where like this toolbar is the left side, this toolbar is the top side. You have this muscle memory, and it's really difficult to break that. So when they try to find a different software, they feel like, okay, this is like an alien place for me, and I might get lost. So, like, honestly speaking, anyone if they try any different software for, let's say, a 5 days straightly, they won't feel they won't feel that it's new. They will get used to it.
Right.
That's the only thing that's stopping them. Like, if you are using it for more than 2-3 days, you will get it.
2-3 days thing is like once it's like new, then it looks like that. Devanshu, what do you think?
I agree with Anvesh because everything is basically the same. The concepts are the same. 3D is the same 3D. Vertices are still vertices, but it's just like there's some nomenclature is different, some positioning of things is different, and some workflows are a little bit different. But there's this initial hump one needs to get through, and then you can switch to any other software. I can see why people like in early days before 2.8 were hesitant to switching to Blender because things work a little too differently. There was right click select which like automatically threw people off. And there was this 3D cursor thing that people did not understand. Like some concepts were really different, but like in the newer versions, they've made it in such a way that anyone can jump on board, like with or without 3D knowledge. I mean, if people have already tried Blender in the past like 2-3 years ago, if they try now, they'll like see a completely different picture in front of them, I think.
Right. So the people who actually join now, they will see a completely better experience because now they actually change the UI for an industry standard. Even if you are coming from Maya background, you can change the entire navigation similar to Maya also. There is an option where you can select Alt and then you can actually play around with both of them. So that's a good thing. Which portion actually in this Blender at this time is actually not good or stable, not stable? I mean, what can be like it is modeling, because I'm sure modeling is not that, because modeling is really powerful in Blender. Texturing is also really good. Rigging, I have no idea. Any light on rigging? Anyone did rigging on that?
Yeah,
What?
I
Yes, I.
just practice, like,
Your mic.
yeah. So I actually like started finding tutorials online, like how can I rig a character, because the first mistake every 3D modeler does. They want to make a face out of nowhere just
Ah.
after jumping into a 3D software. I think everyone tried it first. Like they want to make a character, full blown character from nowhere. So yeah, even I came through the same steps. So even I tried. So rigging is really powerful in Blender because if the animation is so good at Blender, obviously rigging is powerful. What I think is not powerful is the simulations right now in the Blender. A lot of
Simulations.
bugs in Manta Flow. It is good, but it's not stable enough.
So
There's a
can
lot of
we?
bugs.
I mean, how about let's say, okay, so rigging is there. How about animation?
Animation is really powerful in Blender.
Animation,
Like
character animation,
yeah,
camera
character animation,
animation. Both are good. All agree.
camera animations.
Character
I
and
mean,
camera both in Blender full fledged we can do cinematics level.
Yeah, there's like a
Inverse
tiny
cinematics,
difference
yeah.
because like in and Maya, I've heard everyone's very familiar and like it's a good system also. Is like the thing is animation layers, which is not directly translated into Blender. There's something called the non-linear animation editor. They work according to that, which might throw some people off who are coming from Maya, who are expecting animation layers because it's such a powerful, like it's a deep part of the animation pipeline there. But I mean, like the same things can be done even though they might be called differently. Right now I heard about this add-on for Blender which makes it such so that like the NLA system, the non-linear animation thing, it basically translates it into the animation layer system in Blender. And even like internal functionality is still based on the NLA, but like just to make it like clearer for my users, there's this add-on which can do that. I'll share the link so that you can share it on your description also for that add-on.
Right.
But like there's that animation side is really powerful in Blender.
Okay.
That's what I
Interesting.
wanted to clear up. Yeah.
Okay. And once animation is done, then we'll go to lighting. How about lighting? Like
I mean, it's like
environment
any
light.
other GPU-based rendering engine. It's powerful. It's really powerful. Like every one of them has their quirks. Octane is super fast, right? Redshift is also really fast. Similar Cycles, it's a little slower than both of them, but like the functionality is similar.
I see that in viewport we are getting better quality. Like in Maya viewport 2.0 and Maya Arnold viewport. I mean, it's far better than. I mean, even in viewport you can get the real feel. I mean, kind of a camera effect like depth of field and other camera effects like you can see on viewport. I mean, did you guys play around with all this stuff, which usually in demo also they mention?
yeah, I mean, like right now EV is also there. Like to at least visualize what's going on, we can actually try out EV for lighting setup, and then
Uh-huh.
we can translate it into cycles as well because EV and cycles go on the same path.
Why,
Even
why, why, why EV is really good in terms of real time GPU based rendering, but why people is complaining about EV is like EV is okay, it's fast, but it's not the quality is not good. I mean, are you guys agree with
yeah,
that?
obviously, like I mean, right now, real time, which is better is Unreal Engine 5. It's like real time ray tracer. It's like real time ray tracer, like cycles like within. It's like playing 24 frames per second in cycles, which is like insanely. We can't even think about it, right? In cycles, if we talk about it.
Uh-huh.
But EV, it's like there are two types of algorithms which go like there's something called ray tracing, and I don't remember the other one. Forgot. You have to unmute, I think. Devanshu.
It's called rasterization.
Yeah, rasterization. Yeah, that's like calculating the whole things and projecting back to the image. But whereas ray tracing is like projecting a rays from the image and calculating the thing, which is actually faster. I'm not sure. CG Cookie actually released a new course related to lighting in Blender, how everything works, like physically based rendering and stuff. I'm really excited to take up that course as soon as possible so that I can get more bigger picture.
So can we render a project in EV?
Yeah.
Okay.
Blender 2.8 Launchpad by CG Boost. It did a very good job explaining all the settings in EV. Like
Okay.
all the depth of field, it looks so good. I think the trailer it's enough to say how much powerful the EV is. And Ducky 3D's animations, loops, those are the other good examples like how powerful EV can be. Like the
Right.
glare. I mean, glare in compositing in cycles is nothing but bloom in EV. That Doom is like one of my favorite tool in. I try to use it for everything. Everything.
Bloom.
Like if I use EV, which I never use EV much. Like
Mhm.
I almost never.
Okay.
Like, but the material preview mode works on EV, like
Uh-huh.
which is like really good. But there are few things which we have to talk about in the future as well.
Okay. Is there other render engine supports Blender like Arnold or V-Ray or any other?
Yeah, there are many.
Okay,
Even
as far as I've heard, there's Cycles, EV, they come with Blender. Then there's Radeon Pro Render, Octane, which is free for Blender. Someone was working for Arnold for Blender and Redshift also, but I don't know about the others.
Okay. So I mean, is that there is a
LuxCore
hope?
3D. Yeah, there is
Luxcore
something
and like Maxwell, those guys are all also there.
out
I
there.
saw that V-Ray is
Arona
also
rendering
there.
engine
V-Ray.
is not compatible.
V-Ray for Blender.
V-Ray.
I hear long time back about that.
Yeah,
I'm not
RenderMan
updated.
for from Pixar was compatible with Blender till 2.79, I think.
Okay.
The very beginning of 2.8, RenderMan stopped supporting
Yeah,
Blender.
they stopped development for Blender. Yeah,
I was like, I literally downloaded like a weeks back, thinking like, okay, I can do like Pixar level rendering using RenderMan. Then I was like, okay, why is it not working?
Uh-huh.
So 2.8 beginning code for Blender's thing is not compatible with 2.81, 2.82. Like everything changed a lot. A lot of things changed.
And
I mean the background code.
is there any lights are also different? I mean, let's say for example, if you want to use EV or if you want to use cycles, so is there are different lights for both?
No, it's the same lighting, but then the settings are different. Like the power. You can't use node-based lighting in EV, whereas you can use node-based lighting in cycles.
I mean, usually what happen inside Maya, if you want to use Arnold, then you have to put Arnold lights. Then only you can actually start rendering and seeing content. If you want to put Arnold shaders, so it's like a complete ecosystem you need to build to actually match your scene, take your scene inside the render engine.
Yeah.
How about inside Blender? I mean, yes, maybe we can just open the software, we can play around, but I don't want to make this talk as a tutorial talk. I mean, that simply we can easily go to documentation and find out. Like generally, what do you think? Is that what do you say? I mean, do we need to put any special shader for EV preview, or it's just like any preview we can just simply have? I mean, there is no difference.
No, there's completely no difference. There's one-to-one translation of any sort of shaders also. Like EV is new, so they're still building on it. So like there's like the current node limit, so like you can't go above like 120 nodes or something in the node editor for one shader, and then it stops
Can't say
computing.
anything.
Yeah, but other than that, like there's always one-to-one conversions for all the Disney principal shader. There's the like values translate one-to-one completely. So if you switch from like cycles to EV, sometimes there's no difference. If the scene doesn't have like a lot of bounce lighting, or maybe you've baked it, it's hard to tell just by looking at it if it's EV or cycles. I mean it takes a lot of work to get to there, but like it is possible for you to get to there.
But procedural terrain generation and stuff is not working with EV right now.
Yeah, right now displacement is not working because
Displacement
they're
is
still
not
working on it.
Okay,
Like
displacement
in
is
shader
not
displacement, yeah.
If that works, then that will be one of the best evolution in Blender.
working.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Procedural generation is the thing. Like I am excited for November. Devanshu, I think you worked on November, right?
Yeah, I
last
made
year?
24 of
I was
those,
a very big fan of yours. Like I
thank you.
followed it from a long time. Like November, I used to follow. I was like, okay, this guy's Indian, and I'm like, who knows this much stuff regarding that? Nodes. And
Okay.
that's how I got to know about nodes and stuff. I tried with EV, then I realized EV is not working, and my system started heating up because of cycles. And I was like, okay, let me stop it for a while.
Is that we really need a high GPU, high graphic card to play around with EV, or is like a decent average graphic card also is good?
I mean,
Not necessarily. My laptop isn't like at such a great level. It's kind of like a mediocre
What's your card? What's your card model number?
NVIDIA GeForce 810M. So
810M. Okay.
yeah. So it's not like generally the laptops which the
Wow.
professionals.
So that is really powerful, right? 810.
No, not very. Like the current laptops which people use, like the people who are really interested in Blender, they have these like GTX I
RTX.
forgot.
RTX.
RTX also, but I think Charan's is GTX
1050
What's
Ti.
your
1050, right? Yeah, 1050.
1050?
Yeah, yeah, and
Yeah.
it lags a lot. I mean,
It's
um,
lags.
I mean, it's a gaming laptop. It's not a, it's a gaming laptop. But I
That's
don't play games. That's the weird part.
that's actually a weird. I mean, all most of the time, one question asks like, for 3D purpose, which card we should use. I already
I
made a
mean,
tutorial on that. I mean, make a video on that. But should you use GeForce or Quadro?
yeah,
GeForce
I
versus
mean,
I
Quadro.
wouldn't say it depends on the card because I've been using this laptop for the past 5 years, and Blender have been creating some pretty heavy stuff, and it kind of works with the CPU itself. So you don't necessarily need a good.
What's your CPU?
It was 4 GB and 4 GB
CPU
RAM.
and CPU?
Sorry, i5 7th gen 4 GB RAM,
Mm-hmm.
and I recently upgraded it to 8 GB. I think around
RAM upgraded.
3-4 months back. And
What's your config, Avnish? What's your config?
So I rendered it on my PC that I built in 2011. It still works.
2011.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
So it's like
like,
almost 9 years. What is the config?
so
I
at
believe
that
it's i7, right?
no, it was the AMD Phenom X6 or something. I don't remember the name.
Okay.
It works. Like my very first Blender works were done in that PC, and now
Uh,
I'm using a 2013 build, and it's working. The
okay.
only thing lags is Blender for Octane. I don't know why. I haven't figured it out, but the usual Blender it works. It works really
Uh,
well.
okay. What's your config, Devanshu?
I'm using an RTX 2060 and like an 8th generation i7, so it
R-
works seamlessly. There's no issues, just runs.
RTX GeForce 2060.
Yeah, 2060. Yeah,
Okay, good. And how much the memory, GPU memory with that?
16 gigabytes. It never reaches there. Like Blender runs very light.
Okay, good. And sign yours?
it's i7 7th gen, Intel GTX 1050 Ti, 16 GB RAM, and it's really good configuration. But when I go more than, like, it's 4 GB GPU, so I can't render bigger scenes in GPU. So I have to come back to CPU, and because it's 16 GB, it'll take a little more time, but then it works fine.
Right.
In the new Cycles versions has the support for like if the VRAM runs out, it takes the RAM directly.
Yeah, but I am not sure how to turn it on, so I figured it out. Like, I
Okay.
have to check the CUDA. If I keep none, it works. If I turn on CUDA, like in the uh, user
Uh,
preferences, then it won't work. That's wrong. So I
okay.
wanted to keep it in CUDA because I have CUDA latest version, and for better rendering purpose, instead of using a game driver which is inbuilt in my laptop,
Studio Ready drivers are better.
Studio
Yeah.
drivers are better.
Right.
So
Okay.
studio drivers of NVIDIA is really better. Like, it's like, in game driver, like, the demo files, I can just test it out. Let's say one of my old in game driver, it took like 25 minutes. In studio driver, it took like somewhere around 15-16 minutes. I was like, what the hell? It's like, I don't know
Okay.
how. Like, maybe because there is no volumetrics,
Okay.
probably.
Okay. So, I mean, all of you are having desktop or laptop? Desktop, right? I believe all
I
are
use my
desktop.
laptop for
Laptop.
Blender.
Laptop right
So,
now.
two
Yeah.
laptop. Devanshu, you also laptop?
Yeah, for now. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, I mean, you get this 2050 Ti in your laptop.
Yeah, it's pretty new. It's like 1 year old.
Which model?
It's some HP Omen. It's a long number. I'll have to look it up.
HP Omen. Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
same. Even mine is HP Omen.
So all are laptop guys, right?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Even I'm also the laptop guy because we shift a lot and we need power with us. So that's a really interesting thing that we should have. I mean, I play around with that with my configuration. So I have Xeon and with 64 GB of ECC RAM and Quadro RTX 4000, and I reached to a limit where I see that RTX 4000 is actually not fit in my needs. So I just regret that my purchase actually during the purchase I was thinking to buy with RTX 6000. But I was just thinking, I think 8 GB is more than enough, right? Why do we go with that? Now I say, oh, shit, man. And now this is the time, like I'm thinking about building a tower workstation with the Quadro 8000, because Blender is fine, because I'm more talking about the Unreal stuff, which is going more than that. And the Unreal 5 demo, which we all see and we are getting, wow, this is all good. I mean, you need to invest 10 lakh to actually see the quality in one computer. You won't see that in normal computer, never. So that's very expensive. I mean, this real time, all these graphics are really good, but it's required a decent amount of hardware also. So that's a big thing. Okay, now let's just come to the simulation part. Let's say I want to create a splash. Can we do in Blender? I mean, it's just a normal splash, like a spilling water from a mug. Can we do that? My mute.
So, they recently got a Mantaflow update, right? So I haven't tested it, but the videos that they have showed is like really good. I think Devanshu can talk about it. But he does simulations, right?
So simulation, like all the particles. I mean, interparticle collision already in the Blender, is it?
That's already there.
Okay, and which solver is included?
Mantaflow, and for rigid body, I think it's Bullet.
Bullet physics. Oh, okay. And so how about, let's say, pouring a big container of water? I don't see, or maybe I did not search in proper way. I mean, is there any way where we can pour the complete full of area with water?
Yeah, like the functionality is there. Right now, the implementation is super new, so like it was added a couple of months ago, and that's why there are a few kinks there. But otherwise, the simulation system is good. Like for basic needs, it's good. You're not going to use it in a VFX like AAA film, but for your work, for even some freelance projects, it can definitely work. It's to that level at least.
Okay. So like we can do meshing also?
Yeah.
We can do meshing there. Okay. Okay. And
There are
how?
plugins
Yeah.
for
Yes, I.
simulations like Flip Fluids. It does a really good job with water simulations, like ocean simulations and stuff. Remington Creative actually graphics actually have a good tutorial on it, so it's really good. I mean,
Okay. How about,
it
let's
looks
say,
really cool.
let's say if okay, we agree that the simulation part is not that much good, but we know that, okay, there is a very good rendering part in this. Like we can easily render awesome stuff here. If we do the simulation in Maya, or we do simulation in Houdini, can we import that simulation data inside Blender?
Yeah.
How?
I mean, Alembic, they added USD also recently. Like the others, OBJ, FBX, they also work. They've been working for a while.
So I mean,
But
can
for
we
animation, obviously Alembic, yeah.
so Alembic or BGO?
BGO, I'm not sure if it works or not, but Alembic, it works for sure.
Alembic it works. So there is way. I mean, have you ever tested this? Play around with this stuff, like created simulation in Houdini and render in Blender.
Yeah. Like a lot of the projects that I showed for the type thing that I showed, they were in Houdini. A lot of them were simulations. I recently did this skull thing for a challenge in which like I made the fluid simulation in Houdini and then I just took the mesh and then rendered it in Blender.
Wow. Okay. So that means that's a really interesting thing. So that's
Yeah,
practical
it's a
and
good
can
thing.
do.
Like you can do it for free also. That's why I was surprised. So because I have the apprentice license, so like I did not want to get into rendering in Houdini because first of all it was a big thing and secondly it'll have a watermark and I did not like that for the free license. So I
Right.
just took the mesh into Blender and then rendered it there.
But how you export the mesh? I mean, what is the
Uh,
format?
So, like for the apprentice version, you can do two things. You can do that file cache. You can get VDBs out of it, out of Houdini, and this is just for free version in Houdini. For any node in the geo context, you can right click and save the geometry as like three formats work: BGO, OBJ, and .ply. I think these three work. So you can get a static mesh at least. Animation you'll have to do from VDB, but other than that, it can work. Static meshes.
And VDB is also inside Blender, is it?
Yeah, they recently added like a separate volume type object which you can like export different attributes. So like you can export velocity from Houdini as a different attribute for volumes, and then you can plug it in the shader and then use it for rendering. That's how
Right.
I made the STU for the text thing. I can show you.
Yeah.
I can open the file also if you want.
Yeah. Just open the file also.
Yeah,
So
it'll
Sai,
take a while because it's a heavy VDB thing.
yeah, it's fine. So Sai, you play around with some of these stuff like sharing data between software, or any one of you, Anvesh or Bharadwaj?
I
Any?
am completely a Blender person.
Okay,
I
you are
know
the
the
complete blender. Okay, okay.
me and Bharadwaj, we both only use Blender. We use Photoshop too, but
Uh-huh.
not even
So
Photoshop.
with Blender, why you use Photoshop? I mean, did you try GIMP?
Yeah,
Not a
GIMP. I
game
use.
exactly. I kind of use Grease Pencil to create some drawings.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't really like. I'm not really comfortable with the coloring part of Grease Pencil, so I just create the basic outline in Grease Pencil and using Grease Pencil and import that picture to Photoshop and color it there because it's a lot easier.
Right.
You can share your work once, no?
Yeah.
Like show us what you did with the grease pencil stuff.
Yeah. Share.
Yeah. Let me just open it.
Hmm. Yeah. So another thing is, let's say if we done, meanwhile you guys are opening, if we done with for example, now come to the rendering part. So can we render with passes, multiple layers?
Yeah, we can have.
And if we
Open the
compare to Maya, in Maya we have render layers, so we can separate objects in separate layers. And how about Blender? We can also do the same
Do that.
thing.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, we
Oh.
can-
Layer, all the layers.
We can
or
put
separate
matte.
object.
We can put matte in between, render in like the proper matte shader, or maybe
Yeah,
render a
pass.
occlusion pass separately, depth pass separately. So and let's say we need to create a depth part, or it's like a complete all AOVs will be just in one EXR. Is there
Yeah.
any
Yeah,
way?
we can have a multi-layer EXR with all the like direct, indirect, glossy, diffuse, transmission, volume, subsurface, shadow, AO, normal, UV, all that stuff, mist. Plus, like in the new version, they added this like custom AOV. So like in the shader, you can output any sort of value from the shader directly to a view, like a render pass in the file. It'll go. And like you said with the render layers in Maya, there's this thing called view layers, which is basically the same thing. You can include and exclude objects. You can set them as holdout, so they come as a cutout in the render and all that. Plus, Cryptomat also works. Like they added like 2-3 versions ago, so the functionality is there if you really want to use it in a production.
So in 2.8 they added description, scenes descriptions, and the collections.
Yeah, collection is a new way of using it along with the render layers.
So is that similar to render layers, or is that
I mean,
like
it's a part of the whole system. So collection is just like a group. What like you can call it like a group in Maya, but it is kind of different. Like it does not have a node. It's just a collection of objects. You can nest them and all that. So the way the render layer works, render layers work in Blender is based on collections only. So let's say you have a collection which has like 3 spheres in the scene. And then like along with them dispersed you have cubes, and you have cubes in another collection. So what you can do is you just create a scene with like whatever you want to set up, the lighting and everything. Then you can split it into 2 render layers, which is called view layers in Blender, and then say that like exclude the spheres from one of the view layers and exclude the cube from one of the other layers, and then you can combine them together in your compositor of size, or maybe just in Blender. That also works.
Wow, interesting. I mean, when we are talking about rendering, there one more thing comes in our mind. How about the color spaces? Is there OCIO and ACES workflow compatible?
ACES is
How
there.
Can we fit there? Yeah, so it's like we can play around with that. Can we render that ACES CG directly from Blender?
It's called Filmic. Yeah, you can definitely get that log based whatever color thing. I don't know the specifics of, but you can do that. There
There
are a
is-
bunch of view transforms for like the standard Filmic raw, log and raw. I don't know what the meaning of these are, but like these are the different colors.
So is there like we need to add add-ons, or it's just like
no,
already
it's
inbuilt?
part of the Blender. Like the
It
main
was
thing.
an add-on before. It was an add-on before.
But they
like,
added it in the
added
yeah
in the-
before
Yeah.
2.8 we used to have it as like an add-on
Add-on.
thing.
And Filmic log doesn't do anything, but everything is good at Filmic. Most of the people use Filmic because Filmic log got included into Filmic, but it's separate. But I don't know what it does. But there are like different like base, high contrast, medium contrast, and stuff.
Yeah, there are looks
So-
for that. Yeah,
Yeah.
for changing the contrast.
Yeah. So if we use none, it's nothing but Filmic log.
Hmm.
Okay. Yeah, it's like a washed out, but there's
Low
very
contrast
useful
is
for.
more of filmic log. None is basically with medium contrast, like a
Right.
normal thing.
It's
I
it's
mean,
very
I
useful
follow
for
this.
compositing stuff. For
I
compositing,
follow
it's
this.
very useful. Yeah.
The best lighting tutorials are by Gleb Alexandro. His HDR lighting. There he talks about this filmic stuff. But it is in 2.77, I think. I'm not even sure. 767777
Right.
versions.
Right.
And I started like I saw it very recently, and I tried to implement it in Blender 2.8. So the thing to look very similar to him, it was Filmic with none, where he used Filmic log,
Okay.
or
Yeah, there
else
was some renaming through the
yeah,
versions, but
rename
yeah, I
setup.
think you are right. That's
Okay,
the
how
case thing.
about now since we are in rendering part, if let's say we have a scene or we have a project that we are working on and we need to split and use the render farm for that, how easy it is to put I mean, did you guys play around with render farm stuff?
Like I have used race render and render state regularly, like because my PC can't handle render that efficiently. Like it takes any image, any full HD image of 2000 samples, let's say, it can take around 2 to 3 hours. So I
So
depend on.
which render farm is actually good for Blender?
So there are two that I have tried so far.
Uh-huh.
One is race render,
Uh-huh.
the other is render street.
I
So the
see.
good thing about render street is the timing is really good. Like as soon as you upload your file, you get it really fast. Whereas race render, it takes a lot of time. Maybe they don't allot the GPUs that many GPUs.
Right.
And even coming to price point, I find both of them almost similar. One issue with race render is they have a minimum price requirement. Like you can't have 20 cents for an image. You have to have minimum $1. Whereas render street doesn't have that. Like you can go below $1 for renders. I
Okay.
depend on render.
So there is no Indian render farms or something, so that we could play with
I
that.
didn't find
It's,
any,
it's
but there
not, but
are.
it's like a in-house we can build for this. I was looking for like a, if we can build some sort of like a render solutions with OpenQ and all this kind of stuff, so we can easily split our Blender jobs into multiple
Oh yeah,
things.
there is a tool for that. It's called Crowd Render. I think these guys are working on it. You can like set up multiple nodes on a network and send one file, and then it renders multiple frames together with the
Right.
same
right.
network. But I don't really know how well that works because I usually work with a single system. So
There's one more called Sheepit, which is free, but it costs you your current bill. That's because it's like sharing your own PCs. It's like someone else's thing will render in yours when your laptop is free, and yours will render in other systems when their laptop is free.
Yeah, so there is
yeah, like the credit system in the new
Yeah.
Octane is also the same.
Sheepit, right? It's free.
yeah, but it kind of hands the computer like this.
Yeah, like
Right.
exactly. That's the problem. It comes with a cost. Like
Right.
And there are a
Yeah.
couple of videos that talk through how to set up your own AWS server where you can actually push your files there and render it.
yeah,
We never tried it. So you can try.
that's called cloud-based rendering, right? That's what Devanshu is also talking
Right.
about.
Right.
Cloud-based. Clouds are very
Okay.
fast.
Yeah.
My file is open if you want to have a look at it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So can you guys see?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this volume object. Wait. You can see here. Hold on. Let me just make it a bit bigger. And I got the density, temperature, velocity, XYZ from this like VDB file. And like I just put this through the shader. It's like I'm taking the velocity, combining them and mapping them differently, and then just rendering it through this node.
Right.
And this is the T shape. Like this was simulated in Houdini. Right now it's super slow because I'm streaming also and like rendering also. So this is the file that came in from Houdini directly, and then I just like made this shader and then just just rendered it directly from Cycles.
Okay. Interesting.
Like the best part is you can get any of the attributes you want.
Okay. So
Because
this is
this,
what
like,
this is what you exported a VDB and you import this VDB here, right?
Yeah,
Oh,
you can do
it's
sequences also. Right now they're also trying to add more modifiers for like VDB. So like later you can mesh them and then change them in certain ways. Right now like they just like when I made this project they added the functionality 3 days ago. So it was extremely fresh when I did this, but I'm pretty sure they'll add like new things soon.
Okay.
For 2.9 at least.
Interesting. Wow.
Yeah, and
much
like the color
information.
spaces thing we were talking about, it's right here. So like these are all the view transforms that are present for the 3D scene.
Right.
And along with that, there are some color management things.
Interesting. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, so much information in this talk. I mean, we are almost reached to a level in the end since it's already 1 hour, and so I mean there are a lot of things that we still needs to cover, but time is a limit here. Maybe we can have.
My files are also open.
Oh yeah, we
okay.
can see your files also quickly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So guys, it's all about your response. If you like this talk, just let us know in the comments below, so we will also come up with our new talks. And if any specific topic that if you want to know and want to chat with any of our panelists here, Sai, Devanshu, Anvesh, Bharadwaj, so you can just comment in the below and you can just talk to him. Okay, what's that, Bharadwaj?
Yeah, so what I do is I draw this in grease pencil. I'm not very good at it yet, so I trace out a few parts. So I draw this in grease pencil and import it to Photoshop, all these, and I color them there. And
Wow.
I'm not very satisfied with these final results. So what I do is, and I'm not very good at Photoshop also because I started it recently. So what I do is I import these pictures back to Blender and I add some effects like some particle systems and some lights and things like that. So I import this to Blender and I create something like that.
Right. Okay.
So things like this. So for this what I did was
how you edit these colors? So that's also Blender, right?
yeah, completely Blender. Just the coloring part is in Photoshop. Outline is grease pencil and coloring Photoshop. Imported back to Blender, and what I did for this one is I placed a point light here, a point light here,
I see.
and since the background would have been a bit empty, what I did was I placed a plane over there and a window with some background. I mean some textures and things like that. So I kind of used 3D for a 2D picture.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. Good. Yeah. So that's interesting stuff. It's really nice to talk all of you guys to share the information of Blender. We also get some ideas. I mean, when I talking to you, especially Charan with you, like the facial data replications with OpenCV, it's a good idea actually. Maybe if you have any plan to develop further, just let me know so we can actually with the joint collaboration we'll start developing that open source tool so everyone can learn also that. And as you mentioned that you are planning to starting your YouTube channel, so is there you already started or you are just still planning?
Like I just started one. I mean we started like long back, like just time lapses with some lame music in the background.
And
Right.
we
But-
just started the channel, but then we kind of thought that there's no point starting a channel if we don't have the required knowledge to start it first.
Yeah,
So
it's
we
fine.
put
It's
it on
fine. You
pause
can-
for a while.
Yeah, so you can actually start a channel. At least share the small stuff because people they want to learn the small thing first, and then they will
Yeah.
slowly they can see all the big stuff.
So like we
Right.
waited until like we went to like at least some good level. Like
Right.
we can say that we are not intermediates or beginner anymore. And then cause I am from a mathematics background, I started one video which got viral
Right.
very recently, like within 6 days. I mean I have like 190 subscribers now before this live stream. And it got recognized by Blender official YouTube channel itself, so
Okay.
they mentioned me in a live stream.
Right.
So that's how the whole thing started changing for
Yeah,
us.
that's
So,
interesting. Yeah, you just send me the link of that video. I will
Sure.
put this in the description. And also,
Yeah.
Anvesh is having his YouTube channel. He's started very decent channel and putting some content there. So that link also you can find in the description. Devanshu, how about you?
I mean, my channel is just like me streaming for like 3-4 hours, just working on personal projects. If you want to see that, there's there.
Okay. I mean, if
But there is like project files if you want to download for any of my old projects. They're up on Gumroad for free. You can just get them, play around with them, make something with them if you want. If
so
you
did you
have
live
check
stream
out
your
my stream.
November stuff?
Not November. I did some of the sculpting things. I live streamed that, and one of the type things I also did.
Do live stream your November stuff. Please.
I was thinking of making breakdowns with the like official Blender community India. We'll see how that goes. It's still an idea.
Okay.
It's amazing talking to you all.
Yeah, great.
Yeah,
So,
it was a lot of fun.
yeah, thank you guys. So thank you for joining us in VFX Pipeline. And guys, if you watch this complete video, please like and share with your friends who want to learn blenders, who want to get some inspiration from the blender guys. And don't forget to subscribe VFX Pipeline channel. Thank you, Charan. Thank you, Anvesh. Thank you, Bharadwaj. Thank you, Devanshu. We'll come up again with some interesting talks in future. Keep in touch and stay tuned. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.